Hi, folks. My name is Bill Cook. Tonight, you're about to see a Zoom class, a free Zoom school that we did on September the 3rd, 2025, getting ready for Whatbox 2025, which is a 2-day seminar that we teach in Tampa and on Zoom. And this will be the 10th anniversary for us teaching Whatbox. So we're looking forward to that. And tonight, what you're about to see are some of the deal structuring tools and techniques and strategies that we'll cover during Whatbox. So the first thing you'll see is last week, this is free deal school number 2 for Whatbox 2025. Last week, we talked about the importance of making written offers, and I was talking about something known as a teeter-totter offer. And a lot of questions came from that, so I wanted people to be able to see what teeter-totter offers look like. So we'll see those and we'll discuss those. The second thing we're going to cover is a deal structuring tool known as a deed for note deal. Now, don't get overwhelmed by that. It just means that you're going to give someone a promissory note in exchange for a warranty deed to the property. Another way of saying this is owner financing. It's just in the deal you'll see tonight, it involved a trailer park that Kim and I bought in 2009. We bought it from a bank. They had foreclosed on the property, and they did not want the trailer park. Banks do not want real estate. What they want is cash, money, notes, performing notes, and they sure don't want trailer parks. So we'll go over how we were able to buy a trailer park from a bank, and they gave us owner financing. And you're thinking, banks give owner financing? You approach it the right way? Yes, they will. The next structure you'll see tonight is something known as a pure option. So most people know the phrase lease options, and that's where a lease is involved. And then you also use an option. With a pure option, it's just an option used by itself. So you get a chance to see a pure option that Kim and I acquired on a property in Carswell, Georgia in 2024, last year. And to acquire it was $7,600. And for that, we got the right to buy a $300,000 house for only $72,000. So lots you're going to see tonight. Take a lot of notes. Hope you enjoy it. If you want to get more information about Whatbox 2025 that we teach on September the 13th and 14th, again, that will be in Tampa or on Zoom. That's going to be in 2025. Please go to our website at billandkimcook.com. Looking forward to seeing you there. You'll enjoy tonight's program. Bye-bye. And Kim, you're letting new people in? And I am good to go. Can everybody see the lead off screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is going to be part 2. We did this last Tuesday. So we just call it a free deal school. And it's really getting us ready for Whatbox, which is a seminar, 2-day seminar. We're going to teach on advanced deal structuring on September 13th and 14th, 2025. And that's coming up next weekend. I can't believe that. Next weekend. We go to print on the manual on Monday or Tuesday. So the manual is almost done and looking forward to it. So that call is posted up on our YouTube page, which is billandkimcook.com. And in that case, I went over a couple of deals we've recently done, and they were subject-to deals. And tonight, I want to switch it up a little bit. And I want to pick up. I had a couple questions about how do I make my offers that came in last week from the first call. So I'm going to talk a little bit about teeter-totter offers and then show you something called a deed for note deal. And most of you know what a deed for note deal is. You just never heard it called that before. And I think you're going to find it interesting. And then we'll look at a pure option that we did. So let's get started. And with the lead off, some of you have not seen Kim and me before. Just understand that we are mom and pop investors. We've done 10 to maybe 13 deals a year, and we've just done it for a number of decades. I did my first deal in 1990 in Shreveport, Louisiana, and it involved me getting a house sold and doing owner financing. That's how we got it sold. Kim and I have kept a lot of our properties. We understand what financial freedom is about. We like free and clear properties. We're not someone who goes out and does lots and lots of deals. We've just been steady over the years, and most of our transactions have come from door knocking. So with that, let's get started. So I'm 65 years old right now, and this is kind of as my swan song. Not that I'm going to retire, but this is my last big go round with door knocking. So I'll continue door knocking for myself, but I'm doing this for everybody else. Meaning I'm in the process of making 1,000 written offers. So right now I've done 101 written offers. You'll see a couple of those here in a second. And that's about a tenth of the way there. And as soon as we get Whatbox done, my full focus will go into making the offers and completing this. And I should have this goal completed probably by early spring of next year. But I'm going to go out and be making somewhere between 15 and 20 written offers a week and just keep at that and see what happens. And as far as how we're making our offers, in some cases it's from door knocking. I'm talking to sellers or landlords or someone that just, it looks like they have an issue with their house. Also, we'll work foreclosures. So though Kim and I have moved to Florida, there's time, because most of our investment property is up in Georgia. There's time we're up in Georgia for a week or two at a time. And we're up there, we work foreclosures. And you'll see one of those deals tonight where we were working, or Kim was working a foreclosure last year, and it led to a really great deal, a property that was worth about $300,000 that we have the right to buy it for about $72,000. And you heard that right. We have a right to buy a $300,000 house for $72,000. Not bad, and subject to the mortgage. So you'll see that deal tonight. I go to a lot of exchangers meetings that are in this area. So I'm at Sarasota. Sarasota's Friday meeting pretty regular. There's one in St. Pete that I go to once a week. Then there's Vina does one out of Corey up in Ohio on Fridays. So I alternate between that one and then the one that Sarasota does. And Kim and I make a number of loans too. So we're hard money lenders, and that business took off for us probably around 2001, 2002, and we've been lending ever since. And that's kind of goes hand in hand as a real estate investor. As you become more successful and you have more cash on hand, which takes a while to get there, but as you have more cash on hand, you're going to be asking what to do with it. And you may want to invest in the stock market or gold or crypto. In our case, we do like to buy some stocks, and we do invest in gold. At the same time, we do a lot of lending, and that's kind of what we do with our money that we have as excess whenever we have excess money. So that's kind of who we are, and that's how the deals we're about getting done. And as I said, we're doing the 100. I'm doing the 100. I'm at 101 written offers, and that's produced 10 transactions. So I'm about 10% of the time I'm successful. As I said last week, normally it's more like 1 in 50, but right now I'm just kind of on a hot streak. And the question I was getting from folks last week, I did not show a copy of a teeter-totter offer. I showed a T-bar offer, but I did not show a teeter-totter offer. And with so many people asking, I thought, you better let you see one, see a couple of them. So as you know, I'm going to be putting together videos. As I make these offers, I'm going to be putting together videos of each offer I make. And so you'll see where the house is. You'll see the offer I'm making. If I interview the seller or the landlord or the tenant or whoever I'm interviewing, you'll see that as part of the program. So this is an offer I made, and I put down the address across the top. So if you want to go look this up on Google Maps, you'll be able to see where I'm working. In the subdivision is across the street from the subdivision where we live. This offer was made on July the 13th, 2025, and this was offer number 100. So with this, when you see this, me use this, it means either I did not get in the house or nobody was home. And I just use a Canvas card that I keep in my back pocket, and this is what I write. So I call these teeter-totter offers, and I'll explain why it's called a teeter-totter offer in a second, but I want you to read it. It just says, I love your house. Your yard is beyond unique. So there was something unique about their yard. I think it had a lot of stone and glass in it. It was beautiful. My wife and I want to own a home here. I don't say we're real estate investors and we're trying to buy rental property. I always just say we want to own a home here. I don't say why. If either offer is ever of interest, let's talk over coffee. Thanks, Bill Cook, my phone number. And then offer number one is we will pay $350,000. We'll give $25,000 down and make monthly payments of $785. Then there's offer number two, and it says we can pay $261,000 all cash. Now notice the difference. There's a $90,000 difference between the two offers. $90,000 difference. So if you look at offer number one, you'll see that includes owner financing. Owner financing. So when folks ask how Kim and I have gotten so many owner financing deals over the years, and you're going to see an owner financing deal tonight that I got from a bank. You may not know that banks do owner financing, but I'm here to tell you they do. They don't realize they're doing it, but that's exactly what happens. So because we make so many owner financed offers, we get a lot of owner financed deals. But if you don't ever make an owner financed offers, you will never get an owner financed deal. And then the all cash offer for 261, I just call that the big damn hammer. So the property was worth probably somewhere in the neighborhood of about 330, 340. And I said, okay, I can pay all cash at 261. And that's basically a 60 cent on the dollar offer. Simple as that. And the house was in good shape, didn't need very much work. I didn't get inside, but the outside was just beautiful. So that's a teeter-totter offer. Now, why is it called a teeter-totter offer? If you think about it, offer number one is a terms offer. So I'm asking for terms. I'll buy your house. I'll pay more than what your asking price is, as long as you let me name the terms. You get to name the price. It could be $1 trillion if you want, as long as I get to name the terms. And then the other side of the teeter-totter is price. So I want you to think of a teeter-totter, 2 seats. And the seller gets to take either seat, price or terms or price. Pick whichever one they want. But if they take price, they don't get to tell me terms. And if they take terms, let's say they want all cash, that's how they're going to get paid. So if they take terms, then I get to name the price. And that's what that teeter-totter is. So that's where it came from. So 2 seats. But just remember, if the person you're on the teeter-totter with wants both seats, there's no room for you to play. So going about your business. But did you see what my real offer was? You saw offer number one and offer number two, but that really wasn't the offer. Take a look. So this is offer 99. So I was on Sea Grape Road in Venice. And again, it says kind of the same. I love your house. My wife and I want to own a home here. If either of offers is ever of interest, let's talk over coffee. Thanks. Do you see the offer? Somebody unmute and tell me if you see the offer. What's my
Have coffee, get
What?
together. To have coffee and get together.
Why is that important?
That's the most important thing. Because that's where you get to sit down and build rapport and find out if you guys can actually do a deal. Maybe make something happen and find out why they're selling their house or their note or whatever you're offering on.
And y'all should know
I
that.
love it that JR's on the phone, don't you?
Yeah, y'all
Hi,
should know
Kim. Hi,
that
Bill. I'm in the same house you've been in. Still here. Thanks, guys.
Y'all should know that JR is a very accomplished real estate investor with lots and lots of experience behind him, and lives in the beautiful state of Utah. We've been to his house. We've seen some of the babies. We haven't seen all the babies. We've seen some of the babies. But anyway, thanks for unmuting. And so what you heard JR say is, if you look at that, the offer really is, if either offer is ever of interest, let's talk over coffee. I'm asking for a face-to-face meeting without saying I want a face-to-face meeting. So how do I find the target properties? How do I know where to stop? And the answer is, in this case, look at the moving pod in the background. I was driving through a neighborhood and I saw a moving pod. And when I look at something and I don't know why it's there, I'm going to stop. It may be a yard of the month sign. It may be there's a plumber's van in the driveway and they're working on the house. It could be there's a blue tarp. It could be it's for rent. It could be it's for sale. Who knows what's going on? But when I look at something and it's just a little bit offbeat, there's like, why is that? I will stop and I will go look. So in this case, my offer was, I love your house. My wife and I want to own a home here. I saw the moving pod and thought you may be moving. If either offer is ever of interest, let's talk over coffee. And then again, you're looking at the price terms offer down below, teeter-totter offer. And as y'all have questions at any time, I want you to feel free to unmute and ask questions. I have room to ask questions or answer questions all through this. I'll be done with the program with no problem by 8 o'clock. I will keep answering questions until probably about 8:30. And I only stop at 8:30 because some of us are older and we go to bed at 8:30. So there you go. So never find a reason to not knock on a seller's door. And most investors I've been in the car with, they will go out of their way to find a reason to not knock on the door. Well, it's not good, or there's too many clouds up, or it may rain, or it's too warm, or it's too cold, or I've got an appointment in 3 hours. I don't want to get in the house now. You can come up with a million reasons not to get face to face with a seller. It's easy to do. And you can only think of maybe one or two reasons to get face to face with a seller. So lots of reasons to not do it. And there's only a couple reasons to do it. Just never look for the reason to not meet with the seller, to not knock on the door, to not talk to them, to see what's going on. So now you're looking at another offer. I think I forgot which number this one was. But in this case, I had made an offer with my teeter-totter and put it in the door. And a realtor, his name was Ben, he called me. And I'd done the teeter-totter offer. And he asked me some questions about it. And I asked him questions about why the seller was selling. The seller lived up in the northern states somewhere and was not at home. So I couldn't go meet with the seller. And he said the seller was very motivated to sell, but the cash offer was too low, and doing owner financing, the seller was kind of open to it, but not too open to it. And I said, okay. And so I did this offer. So I keep making offers till someone says, go away. And if you look at it, this is what we talk about, advanced creative deal structuring. And we talk about structure stacking, where you're using a number of different deal structuring tools to make a single deal work. So if you look at number 3, you see the arrow pointing at number 3. The way I'm doing this is I will pay $330,000, which was a little bit above the seller's asking price. And I said, I will give you a note for $123,000 with monthly payments of $140,000. Now remember, the monthly payments are important because when I buy this house, it has to cash flow. It must cash flow, or else there's no point. I don't care if it has equity or not. If this is going to be a rental property to me, equity is not important. Cash flow is everything. However, if my thought is I'm going to flip this house or get rid of it within the next year or two, then the equity becomes very important to me. So anyway, if you look at number 3, I'm asking for the seller to carry a note. But look at number 4. At the same time, I'm wanting the seller to leave his mortgage in place. This is a subject-to deal. So in other words, if the seller agreed and I bought the house at closing, the seller's mortgage that he currently has on his house would not be paid off. It would stay in place. And the reason why that's important to me is look at the interest rate on that 30-year fixed rate, the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. There's 25 years left on it, 3.6%. And I got to tell you, I've been on a run now for the last year and a half where I'm doing a lot of sub-2 deals. And the reason why is I don't go out trying to do sub-2 deals. It's not like I walk in and that's the first offer. But I will tell you, because so many people got refinanced back in 2000, 2001, 2002, when mortgage rates were down around 3%, 2.7%. I showed y'all 2 deals last week. One was a house we bought earlier this year in Cartersville, and the interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 2.75% interest. And then you saw us buying this house that I'm in right now. That was a sub-2 deal. Interest rate, 3.1%. I can't go get that as an investor. I can't go get that right now if I were to buy a house and go to an institutional lender. I can't find those kind of interest rates. And so in this case, look at number 4 on that offer is I'm seeing 3.6%, and I'm trying to get that. And also, if you notice on number 3, you notice there's not an interest rate because there can't be. It will never pay off otherwise. So I'm just saying the note has to be for $123,000, and the amount of the payment has to be $140,000. That's a 0 interest note. That's what that would look like. So at closing, if the seller said yes, their mortgage stays in place, and then I would give the seller another note that would be secured in second position for $123,000 with payments of $140 a month until it's paid off. So there you go. So sometimes when I'm able to talk to someone or I need to put more information on, I just go for a piece of paper. And one question you may have is, how on earth did I know about the mortgage? Someone tell me, how did I know about this mortgage and what it was? What website did I go to?
You asked the seller.
Yep, I asked the seller. In this case, I asked the realtor to ask the seller, and the seller gave that information to the realtor who gave it to me. So I ask for the information, and often I get it. If they don't want to give me the information, I really can't help. I need information for me to be able to structure my offers. So anybody have any questions about this offer? The number one reason investors fail is because of a lack of written offers. I was on a call today with Vina, and we were talking about that, and I don't know how to drive this point home. I've been driving the point home since I started as a real estate investor. You have to go out and you have to make the written offers. And the question I always ask is, how many written offers have you made in the last 30 days? Don't tell me, but just think to yourself. You got to be out there making written offers. It's what drives everything. But if you're not making written offers and handing it to the seller, or handing it to a realtor who hands it to the seller, nothing's happening. It's not a discussion you have over the phone. You have to put ink to paper. You have to hand it to someone. And almost every investor I've ever worked with that was having problems, and they would go out and start making written offers, their entire life changed. And almost every investor I've ever worked with that would refuse to go out and make written offers has failed. It's just simple. And I don't care how you get face to face with a seller. I am not telling you to door knock. I door knock because it's what I was raised doing. But if you can put ads on buses and it gets you in front of people, or billboards, or magnetic signs on your car, or bandit signs out there, or send out mailers, whatever it is you want to do works as long as you're getting in front of sellers and making offers on a regular basis. But if you're not, try something else. For me, what worked best was knocking on people's doors, because I could, most people would invite me in, 8 out of 10 sellers would invite me into their home. And that just worked for me. I could sit down and talk to them. I could do teeter totters and tea bars. And I was out in the neighborhoods. I was talking to people. I found out things that were going on. The house we're in right now is because Kim was in the neighborhood. This house was not for sale. Not for sale. But Kim talked to a lady in the yard and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a house in this neighborhood. Do you know anybody who's wanting to sell?" But that began the conversation with the woman. Well, 3 months later, and she wasn't planning this, for health reasons, they decided to move to Vermont. And the house was going to go on the market. And the lady called Kim and said, "Are you still interested in our house? Are you still looking for a house in this neighborhood?" And Kim was like, "Yes." And we went over, and that's when we structured the deal. And that's the one, you can see that in last week's program, because it began life as an option. And then we bought it, and we bought it subject to the mortgage. So tomorrow, go out and make at least one written offer. If you want to change your life, you have to change. You have to do something different. If you're already making a lot of offers, you're being successful. Keep doing whatever it is you're doing. But if you're not, try tomorrow. And I don't care how you get there. If you see someone with a for sale sign, go knock on the door. If you're going through FMLS and you can talk to someone, see if you can set up a showing and ask the realtor to please let the seller stay there. Don't let the seller leave, so you can sit down and talk to them. But that's so important. And that was driven home to me today when I was on the call with Vina.
Hey, Bill, Sean O'Connor, I have a question.
Yeah.
On those 4x6 leave behind pieces when you're door knocking, you've done a calculation on cash or terms offer. I mean, did you do some research ahead of time?
No.
So you just right there on the
I'm in the neighborhood.
porch.
You have to remember, I went around the country taking groups of 60 people out door knocking all over the country, including Cincinnati, including Columbus. And I get in the neighborhood and I tell people, don't give me any information. I want you to see how I get information. And when you're out talking to people and you're just saying, what are homes like this selling for in this neighborhood? What are homes like this renting for in this neighborhood? What are the schools like? Is it safe here in this neighborhood? What are the neighbors like? You're going to get so much information. And I've been working in one neighborhood across the street from the neighborhood that I'm in right now. I've just been sitting over there. So I have it pegged down to what values are, what rents are in that area. Now, when I move to the neighborhood next over, those numbers are going to change a little bit. Not a lot, but a little bit. But within an hour or two of being in the neighborhood, I will adjust and know better what those houses are selling for. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I have a follow-up. So the spread between the cash and terms offer, the price actually, you already have a rule of thumb. I mean, is there some spread as a percentage of whether it's
somewhere
cash or terms?
somewhere around 60 cents on the dollar. When I'm doing the big damn ham offer, which is a cash offer, I
Right.
need to have, because they're getting terms, which is cash, how it's
Right.
paid. I get price, and I've got to make my money there.
Understood.
Hey, Bill, can I make a quick pitch
Sure,
for your door knocking class, your door knocking manual?
sure, Rick.
And I actually have another one, and I don't know the guy's even around anymore. It's not important. It's actually decent, but I cannot say if anybody's going to be taking the What Box seminar, or even if you're not gonna spend the money or make the investment, get the door knocking course or the manual. Go out and do it. You'll never ever, you'll never get a date by without talking to people, so to speak. And so you just got, it's kind of like schmoozing to a large extent. The house I'm sitting in right now was a house that was not for sale. There were 40 houses that met my criteria. There was nothing for sale. I'm not going to pitch how I got this, but if and don't rely on getting the information from a third party or through a third party. Hey, FedEx works, all these other things. But if you're afraid to door knock, there are other ways to reach people. But people ultimately will communicate with you if they don't feel threatened, and if you don't show up like a yahoo.
Bill,
Yeah, and can we
Adris,
have people in the waiting room too?
we do, sweetheart, and I'm letting them in. Ask if you're making subject to offers on houses that aren't behind on their mortgage.
Yes, the house we're in right now, they were not behind on the mortgage. The rental we bought on Seven Stonebridge. Again, both of these deals were in last week's deal school. You go on our website or to our YouTube channel, Bill and Kim Cook, you'll see deal school that I just taught. It's up there. But go look at those two deals, and both of them were current. They weren't in bad shape.
Okay.
Okay. And it says Bill Cook just entered the waiting room.
Yes, and I'm not letting him in because I don't know, if that's
Don't. Bad idea. We ran into that in the springtime. Those of y'all that were on the options call, and y'all remember that. We don't want to do that again. Okay, so what do banks do with properties that they don't want? So there's not a big foreclosure problem right now, and we'll not have anything like 2007 and 8 and 9 when just properties were going back to the lenders in just by the bucket load. But understand why. The lending rules got so lax in 2003, 4, 5, and 6. Anyone could get a loan. They used something called stated income. So in other words, if you needed a loan to buy a certain house, and they said you need to have at least $300,000 in income to buy it, you would say, okay, I make $300,000, and they would give you the loan. It was that easy. They didn't ask for proof, nothing. So banks got in trouble then. So we're going to go back to 2009, but I just want you to know that I still keep this tool in the toolbox because you don't know when it's going to work out well. And oftentimes with banks, when they have something that they've foreclosed on, but nobody bought it, it went back to them. It became known as real estate owned. So it's bank owned property. They don't want real estate. They want it gone. And you're about to see that in action. So this is what we're about to talk about is a deal that Kim and I did in 2009. So this is getting into this is when all the banks were closing. In fact, the bank I did this deal with, after I did this deal, about 8 months later, it went under. It got bought out. It caved. But they had foreclosed on a small trailer park. And in foreclose when they foreclosed, they put it up in the market. They tried to sell it at the auction, and I was at that auction in Bartow County, and nobody bought it. I think the opening bid was $150,000, and nobody wanted it. And just understand the banks hate rental property, and they really, really, really hate trailer parks. And always remember, When you're buying a trailer, it's a trailer. When you're buying a trailer park, it's a trailer park. When you're selling a trailer, it's called a manufactured home or something along those lines. But with this deal, a bank called me up and said, "Hey, listen, you do work in the mobile home, the mobile home area." And I said, "You mean the trailer with trailers?" They said, "Yes, with trailers." And they said, "Will you come look at this? We want to see if you want to buy this trailer park." And this was in White, Georgia. The problem is I did not have any money. We were doing deals as fast as we could, but we had no excess cash. So I could not pay cash for this park at all. And the banks were not going to lend. And I asked, I said, "Well, is there any way you'll do a loan so we can buy this park you want me to buy?" And they said, "No, the feds are on top of us." And again, this bank did go out of business about 8 months later. They said the feds are going to are own them, and they couldn't make any loans.
We're at the park.
So here you go.
The single family home, and there are the trailers. And this is the single family house that was built in 1940. This is the yard. So that's their driveway in. There's the front of the house, 1940. We've already got an inspection report on that. So let's walk back now to the park. Okay. First trailer is owned. Oh, first pad is empty. First trailer is owned. Our older couple is living in there. This trailer is a rental. They're home, so I need to talk to them at some point in time. The third trailer that made my main contact folks, I've been talking to, that is owned. Good folks. I tell them today that we're not closing today. And here's the fourth trailer. And it's not in the best shape by any means. We may be getting this one back. It's also owned. And then out there somewhere, I hope you can see it as a marker. That's the trailer that's been torn down, but that is pad number 6.
So what you're looking at,
I have not seen this video since we bought the park. And that video, that you don't sound like yourself on that video. You sound much deeper in the throat. I mean, I could tell it was you talking, but you didn't sound like yourself. But my gosh, that trailer park has come a long way, hasn't it?
it really has. And we called it Shady Oaks because they had 2 great big oak trees, which we turned around, we cut down because every time a storm came through, I was worried that one of those oaks would collapse on one of the trailers and kill people. So we got rid of them. But anyway, so what you're looking at, a bank calls me up and says, "This is what I have." And you can see where the bank tried to get rid of the trailer in the back, and they didn't know what to do with anything. So it's just a real mess here. So let's take a look and see what happened. So I met with, when I went in and said, "I'm interested in this," and I talked to basically the president of the bank, Mr. Fox, and said, "Listen, I'm interested in buying this park. I want to do a deed for note deal." And I explained to him what it was, and he goes, "Yeah, I don't think we can do that." I asked for a meeting with the board, and so the next day I came in and I met with the board of directors along with Mr. Fox. And so again, I proposed a deed for note deal, and they asked, "Well, what's that? What's a deed for note deal?" And I said, "It's very simple. You give me the deed to the property. I'm going to give you a note. So we just trade pieces of paper. You give me a deed, the warranty deed. I'm going to give you a promissory note." And the bank said, "We cannot make any loans. We can't do that." And I pointed out, I said, "This is not a loan." I said, "So we're trading." And I said, "So example is with a loan, there's money that goes somewhere. We're going to sit down at closing and you're going to deed me the property. And I'm going to give you a secured note. There's no money anywhere. So that's how this works. And now this property leaves your books, which helps you out. And you're now going to be getting monthly checks from me, which helps you out. So what's not to like?" Well, the bank, so this is the kind of the negotiation that we went back and forth with. So really, when you think about deed for note, and I really got this idea, it was probably about 3 months before this deal. There was another bank up in Adairsville, Bank of Adairsville, and Gary Floyd ran it. And he brought me in about a property he had in Resaca. And I said, "I can buy the property, but we got to do a deed for note deal." And I knew he would not say owner financing. I knew he wouldn't do a loan because his bank was also, was targeted. They did not go under, but they could have. And I said, it is not a loan of money. And that's how Bartow County Bank, which had the trailer park, that's how they heard about me. Gary talked to Mr. Fox. Mr. Fox called me in, and I'm talking about a deed for note deal. And I'm saying, it's just, this is all it is. You give me deed, I give you note. But really what it is by this time, by 2009, Kim and I had done a lot of owner finance deals. You saw that in my teeter-totter offers. So either I'm getting owner financing or I'm giving owner financing. So when you hear deed for note, all that really is owner financing. But you've never ever heard a bank giving owner financing. But when you do a deed for note deal, that's exactly what's happening. And with all their education, they haven't figured it out yet, which makes me very happy. So here's the seller's information. This is just a sheet I filled out and some things I wanted you to pay attention to. First off is the situation is Bartow County Bank took it to auction in March 2009 and the asking price was $150,000. So they had to foreclose. Nobody bid. They got the park. Then the second one is it's now an REO property, means real estate owned. The bank owns the property and they have to deal with the tenants and the work and a torn up trailer and whatever, big oak trees that may fall on another trailer and kill someone. So they just want to get out of it. And now you're looking at the 3 offers I made them. I want you to look at this. And first of all, notice underlined in purple, it says, we want to swap a warranty deed for a note. I don't use the word owner financing and I don't use the word loan. You've never seen it. Anything we've talked about today when we do with this deal, I never use the word loan. I never use the word owner financing. But anyway, I just said we want to swap a deed for a note, but I want you to pay attention to what you're looking at. There's 3 offers there. For offer number 1 is for $150,000. That's what they took it to auction for. Second offer is for $125,000, and the third offer is for $100,000. Okay, so 3 different offers. Now look at it even closer. Look at the interest rates of all 3 of these offers. For 150, the interest rate's 3.02. For the 125, the interest rate climbs to 5.12. When I lower the price to 100,000, the interest rate climbs to 7.95, almost 8%. Do you see that? So the offer, 3 different prices, but the interest rate change on each one is going up as you go. Now, look at the payments. Look at the monthly payments. Do you see it? Do the monthly payments change? No. I knew for this park to work, we could pay no more than $750 on the note. That was, I had to have $750. And so that's what we're doing here. Now, here's the thing that you got to use a calculator to figure out. Do you know that what I would pay for the park, number 1, number 2, or number 3, if you took out the loan the entire time, do you know you're paying exactly the same thing? They're all the same offer, the same amount of money. I'm still paying $750 a month. I'm paying it for 20 years. There is a 5-year balloon on it. But in all cases, at the end of the 20 years, you would have paid exactly the same amount of money for this park. How about them apples? That's pretty neat, isn't it? So this is this is about a month later. I'm working with Jason, who's in the bank. He's my main contact. And I've been working back and forth about trying to get an offer and which of the 3 do you like. And this is what we came up with. So this was my final offer to them. It was, I'll pay $132,000. The way we came up with it was $150,000 minus $18,000 in estimated repairs that need to be done to a single family house on the property that was built in 1940. And the down payment would be 10%. The balance on the note would be $118,000, 20-year AM, 5-year balloon, payment $750 a month, interest rate 4.48. So if you wonder whether it's a good idea to know how to use a financial calculator, the answer is yes. I could not have done this work without knowing how to use a 10B2. So learn how to use it. And I think Rick talked about the door knocking book. I also have a financial calculator book on our website at Bill and Kim Cook. But if you don't know how to use a financial calculator, I don't care whether you get my course or somebody else's. Bill Tan has a great course, but learn how to use a 10B2. because that allowed this deal to happen. And here we are in May 2009, and we bought the property. You can see there highlighted in yellow for $132,000. If you look at the bottom left-hand side, line 202, you'll see that the new loan, they use the word loan. That's the first time you've seen that word used in this deal, was $118,800. And that's how this deal got done. And here's the note that I signed. Remember deed for note deal? Well, here's the note part. And you can see that the interest rate was 4.535% interest, 60 payments of $750, and then the balance was due. Not bad, huh? So that's how this is how Kim and I bought our first trailer park. And it was a deed for note deal, which is really a form of owner financing. And I got owner financing from a bank. So just understand that when you're talking to people, don't tell yourself the things they won't do. Because if I would have gone into this thinking a bank would never give me owner financing, I wouldn't even have thought to even make this offer, because they wouldn't have done it. So why bother? But I didn't think that way. I was like, I can make this deal work.
Bill?
Yeah.
Couple of questions.
Sure.
Christy asked, if you default, what can the bank do if you have the deed? Will they take it back?
Yes. The note was secured to the property using a security deed, because Georgia is a deed of trust state. They would have foreclosed on me.
And AR asked, why did you put in a 5-year balloon?
The bank put in a 5-year balloon. That's what they wanted. And actually they wanted a 2-year balloon. I extended it out to 5 years. And I will tell you what happened. Well, Kim, you tell the story.
No, you go ahead, babe.
No, I want you to tell the story. What happened at 5 years?
Well, they wanted us to refinance.
And then have we ever been late on a payment?
Never. But it was
the bank. The bank did close down. Bartow County Bank went out of business, but most of the people there stayed and became, I forget what the new name of the bank was, but it became a different name of a bank, but everybody was still there. So keep going, Kim.
So they called us in. They were wanting us to, renew after the 5-year balloon. And so we went in, and where we had gone in before helping them out, now they thought they were in a better position. And so they asked us for all of our rent rolls for all of our properties. They asked us for profit and loss. They asked us for a huge amount of paperwork. And Bill and I just looked at each other and went, yeah, no, not giving you all of that. We helped you guys out when you needed it. When you were in a mess, we took on this piece of crap mobile home park and made it nice. And now we've never been late on a payment. And now you're wanting us to refi and give you all of this paperwork. Not going to happen. And so we just cashed them out. And then they, don't cash us out. Don't cash us out. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But it made us both mad. So we just cashed them out.
We were talking to the loan officer, and she kept using the word customary. This is just the way it's done. I said, listen, this was not done when we first did this, when y'all needed my help. When y'all came to me, the bank was about to go under, which it did. And I said, you might want to call upstairs to Mr. Fox was still there. You might want to call upstairs to Mr. Fox and have a conversation with him, because I'm not going to fill out all this paperwork. I'm not going to give you my rent rolls. The trailer park stands on its own. It's in much better condition than when we got it. It's doing great. It's worth, $200,000 now. So stop it. And she said, this is just what we have to do. And I said, fine. And I said, I'll be back in tomorrow. And I went and got a private money lender and borrowed the balance, which was something like about $115,000 by this time. I brought in a private money lender, and her account was at this bank. She took the money out of her account at this bank, loaned it to us, and then we paid off the bank loan. So they lost the money that was in the bank from our private money lender. We paid off their loan. And as this was going on, Mr. Fox called me to come into the office. And I just talked to him on the phone, and he just said, can we redo this? Can we talk about it? Let's have a conversation. And I said, no, sir, Mr. Fox. I said, I asked for the conversation before. I said, but you sure needed me when you needed me. And we had helped him out with some more deals. I said, but this was ridiculous to ask for my rent rolls. We're not going to do that. And I didn't do any more business with them after that.
Well, they like you said, they folded. and it just went to a different bank. But that was what JR asked. What happened when the bank folded?
Well, another bank took it over, but a lot of the people, including Mr. Fox, stayed. They were still at the bank. So when our 5-year note ballooned, that's why I don't like balloons. And when we talk about options, I'll get a balloon, but I want the right to extend that balloon an additional 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. I always want to have that right. And I always remember this as a time where if I did not have a private money lender to go to, we had been hard pressed to come up with $115,000 to pay off this bank note, or we would have had to cave into the bank and give them all the information they were asking for, which I didn't think they should have. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let's look at a pure option. So last week we looked at an option that we had on our house that we just bought in Venice. Now this is another option, but we have not yet exercised this option. And this is the deal that we did last year. It's on Vaughn Road. It's in Cartersville, Georgia. And this house, I told you that we go up to Georgia and work foreclosures. Well, at this particular time, Kim and I were up there working on some rental property, and we were probably about a week or so away from foreclosure. She said, I'm going to go out and work foreclosures. I said, okay. So she put together a list. This is about the 4th door she had knocked on. And you can see there's Kim right there. So she's at the door. But anyway, she got in and talked to the homeowner and realized that we had ways to help the homeowner solve their real estate problem. She called me up and said, can you come out? So this is me going back to the house with Kim, but Kim's right there on the doorstep. But this is the property. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's a ranch. It is a great neighborhood in Cartersville, Georgia. And so, it has a fair market value as it sits right now of about $300,000. So the way it looks right there, that's about a $300,000 house, because I-75 is about a mile away and Highway 41 is a mile and a half away. So great location, easy to get around, great schools. Okay, so here's how the deal was found. I told you that, the house was in foreclosure. It was due to go to auction on July the 2nd, 2024. And Kim knocked on her door, and this was on June 19th, 2024. So about 2 weeks before the auction. And this is the conversation Kim had. And actually the boyfriend came to the door, and Kim said, I was told your house was for sale. I don't see a for sale sign in the yard. I'm confused. So when we're working foreclosures, we don't ever use the F word. We always just say we're confused. We heard it was for sale. We don't see the sign.
Well, I asked him if somebody stole his sign when he came outside. I said, hi, I was told your house was for sale, but your sign is gone. Did somebody steal your sign? And so, of course, then that got the conversation rolling. So anyway, just FYI, in case anybody wants to use that little trick.
And most homeowners will tell you that, yes, their house is in foreclosure. You let them say it. And that's what the boyfriend said. And Kim said, well, maybe I can help. Are you thinking about selling, or, can we sit down and talk? Just maybe I can help. And the owner, who was in on the couch, said, you're welcome to come in if you don't mind the mess. It turns out she was a hoarder. And I mean, stuff was everywhere in this house. She was
everywhere.
Yeah. This is the picture of the den.
And that was the good room.
Yes, that was the cleanest room out of all of them. You couldn't walk in the bedrooms. They were floor to ceiling stuff. In the kitchen, you couldn't get out to the garage because of all the stuff that was everywhere in the kitchen. But again, because of experience, I knew that she was a hoarder and she was about to lose her house. And think about what she was going to go through. She couldn't find another property to go to. She's going to lose all of her belongings. She had to be just mentally drained. And because she doesn't want to move, there's nowhere for her to go. And all her stuff is here. And the other thing happened is Kim knocked on this door. And I want you to know this. When we asked her how many other people had knocked on the door, she said 2, Kim and one other person. So here's this house with a $80,000 mortgage on it. First position, only mortgage. The property's worth $300,000, and nobody's knocking on her door to help her. But she was getting lots of phone calls and text messages and emails to the tune of about 60 per day. So all month of June, they were just inundating her with offers, but they weren't talking to her. It was just coming in text messages mainly and emails. Okay. So when we sat down and talked to her, we were, sitting there in the den. You saw me last week talk about the importance of a T-bar. So let's look at the T-bar. What we knew was the foreclosure was in 2 weeks. And when I talked to her, she said, I don't want to move. I said, can you pay up the arrears and stop this foreclosure? The arrears were were like $7,600, $7,600. That's all she was behind. I said, can you borrow the money from someone? And she could not. She couldn't pay the arrears. And she said, I can't afford to live anywhere else. Her mortgage payments on this mortgage, $813, and that's principal, interest, tax, and insurance on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with a value of about $300,000. She's paying $813 a month. One of the trailers in our trailer park you just saw, the reason why I was in town was to fill the trailer, and it rented for $1,300 a month. And she's paying $813 for this nice home. I mean, she can't go anywhere else. And she said, I don't want to sell right now, because I asked her about selling, and I can't buy it from her and rent it to her because she's in foreclosure, and Georgia has some pretty serious foreclosure laws. So she said, again, I really don't want to move. Now, when you look at that T-bar, look at the current position. Do you see what she keeps saying? I don't want to move. I can't live anywhere else. I can't afford to be anywhere else. I don't want to move. I don't want to move. I don't want to move. And so here's the other half of the T-bar. I'm thinking, if I solve her problems, here's what happens. Number one is we'll stop the foreclosure. Number two is you don't have to move. Number three is we'll pay the arrears up. So that, again, that stops the foreclosure. No more foreclosure. Your monthly payment of $813 remains the same. You don't have to sell right now, because she doesn't want to sell right now. And I couldn't buy it and then leave her there because of foreclosure laws. And again, I finished off with, you really don't have to move. And that's what she had been waiting for. Those are the words that she wanted to hear. But what if Kim had not knocked on her door? I'm not telling you to door knock. The thing is, Kim went and met with her and got face to face and sat down in the room and talked to her. Kim put this deal together, not me. Kim did all this. Kim found it. Kim talked to him. Kim went in. This is Kim's deal. This isn't my deal. Kim just brought me in to get paperwork done. So I told you that she was receiving between 40 and 60 offers a day. And every one of the offers, remember you saw the teeter-totter offer earlier in this program? Remember the first one was an owner financed. Second one was cash only, 60 cents on the dollar. And I call those the big damn hammer offers. Well, every offer she was getting was the big damn hammer. And one of the things that everybody said was, you have to move before we buy the property in the next week, or you have to move within 30 days. She was not allowed to stay in her house, period. Not one person cared enough to think, is there a way to structure this where she can stay? If you wonder whether what box, which is the 2-day seminar we'll teach next weekend, may be worth your money, do you see, knowing how to do these sorts of structures, knowing how to structure stack, knowing how to creatively put deals together that allow you to solve problems that no one else can solve. So she's getting all these offers and she's turning them all down. So here's how we put together our offer. You don't have to move. Why is that number one? It's because that was the most important thing to her. Number two is we'll pay your arrears and we'll stop the foreclosure. Number three, we're going to get the exclusive right to buy your house anytime in the next 30 years. In other words, she can't sell to anybody else but us in the next 30 years. We're it. We're the only game in town. And when we do decide to buy, we get to buy it subject to her mortgage. We get those $813 a month payments. We get that mortgage. So that's another sub-2 deal. And one of the things she said, I said, how long do you want to be in this house before you think about moving? She said, if I can be here for 8 years, I'll be very happy. After that, I'll get my house cleaned up. I'll get my affairs in order. I'll go somewhere else. And so though I had the exclusive right to buy the house anytime in the next 30 years, I would not exercise that right for the first 8 years. Okay. So that's how this was structured out. And the strike price, the price we're going to pay for the house, $72,832 for a $300,000 house. And the way we came up with that is the mortgage balance was $80,452. The arrears, which we subtracted off the mortgage balance, was $7,620. And that's where we came up with the $72,832. So I just used that formula to generate the strike price. So why did the owner accept our $72,000 offer that was subject to her mortgage? Why did she accept it instead of the hundreds of offers she was getting at $160,000 all cash? Somebody unmute and tell me, why did she take our offer, which was less than half of every offer she was getting?
She didn't want to move.
Yeah, she didn't want.
Because you actually cared about her.
How did I know? How do you know right now she didn't want to move?
She told you, and she gave away all your equity, all of her equity to you in order
She didn't
to
want
stay
equity.
there.
She wanted to stay with her stuff.
Exactly.
You saw the T-bar. What if Kim hadn't knocked on the door? What if we hadn't done the T-bar and cared enough to ask those questions to understand her why? And that's just it. Sometimes the why is much more important than the how much. This is a great case of that in action. So you've heard me talk about this deal. Do you want to see what she has to say?
Before you do, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, go ahead, Terry.
What if her reinstatement was 50 grand? What would you do? Still be out of pocket where that could draw interest in 8 years, or you're just going to pay that kind of money?
As at the 7,600, I had the cash, but let's say at 50,000, I don't. You tell me, what would I have done?
Private money or hard money?
Yeah, I would have brought in someone to help me. I would have borrowed money maybe against one of my other properties or made someone part of this deal. More than likely, I would have made them part of this deal. They would have put that money in. So I'm not making payments back, but they would have put in the 50. But think about it. There's now $50,000 that's out of pocket, but the house is still worth 300. And if we ever go to sell that house, the person who put in the 50 gets their 50 back first, then everything else we split.
Bill, I would call this your gold key deal. Look at the back.
My gold what?
Look behind her head.
Oh,
Behind Melanie's head.
Gold key deal.
What happened if she default? Like, if she don't pay her monthly, if she default again and she fall back in her arrears?
Good question. That's a very good question. And that's one of the big concerns when you do a deal like this is what happens if she doesn't pay or doesn't take care of the house or decides when you're ready to exercise the option, she just tells you no. I secure the option with a mortgage, which means if she falls behind on a payment, we get to exercise the option immediately. If she doesn't take care of the property, we get to exercise the option immediately. There's no 8-year wait. And if she says, I'm not going to sell you my house, we can foreclose because we have the option secured with a mortgage. We can foreclose and take the property that way.
Isn't a mortgage usually secured with debt? I mean,
the answer is yes. What you're thinking of is a mortgage or a deed of trust. What you're normally looking at is it secures a promissory note. But what a mortgage does or a deed of trust does, it secures promises. The promise can be anything. And when I go to record an option to secure an option for the first time, and I'm in a place for the first time I've never been, it usually takes me an hour and a half, and I end up in the legal department talking to the county attorneys and asking them to give me the chapter and verse, give me the code section that says a mortgage or deed of trust can't secure an option. And every single time I've won. Just because
you've litigated this? Have you litigated something like this if she didn't want to? Because I ran into this problem with the deal I had earlier, and I was told it was between $10,000 and $75,000 if we took this to court. if I wanted to get tangled up with this thing. And
Was it a mortgage? How did you have it secured?
we secured it with
Memorandum?
as a memorandum of option, and I can't remember now. We walked in with your paperwork out of your first options course, and the attorney was like, he was the closer and an investor, but he wasn't the guy who did the litigation. And so when this guy was falling behind on his mortgage payments, I said, okay, well, what's going to happen if he doesn't want to follow? And the attorney said, we'll sue him for specific performance. But I was not, but they told me that it was, iffy at best. And, I got really nervous. I mean, it was a huge amount of money it was like $35,000 to get the stuff to stop this guy's foreclosure. And I didn't know if he would allow me to execute my option. So it all turned out okay, because I ended up extending it a few times and adding it up. But I was very nervous about ending up in court with this guy.
And maybe because I've been around for a lot longer and I've done options for a very, very long time, I've never had to take an option to court. I've always been able to sit down with the other person and we've been able to work it out. I'm real happy with that. But that's if you have a mortgage securing an option and you're in a mortgage state, then you have to sue for specific performance. But in Georgia, and that's where this was done, we use a deed of trust. And I can take it because we're non-judicial. I can take it right to the auction and sell the house.
Yeah, mine was in Georgia as well. So
okay, then you should have talked to me about this, because you could take this to foreclosure and get the deed to the house.
Bill, not to pull you back to task, but it's 8:00, and so we want to be respectful of people's time. Do you want to finish up with Melanie?
Yeah, let's finish up with Melanie, and then I'll keep taking questions. But I want y'all to hear what Melanie has to say. And just so you know, when we're doing Whatbox, there's a number of people that are in deals with me, the other person like this, where I record them. And I let you listen to them and what they're saying. And one of the things you'll hear her say next week is what happens if you fail to make your mortgage payment, or what happens if you don't take care of the property. And you'll be able to hear that recording. I don't have it tonight because of time, but let's hear why she did this deal. Why did she say yes to our offer over everybody else? And we met you last Wednesday a week ago, and you were facing foreclosures for July the 2nd on the courthouse steps here in Bartow.
Right.
And when your foreclosure notice hit the paper, how many calls were you getting from people calling you about your house?
60 to 100 a day. Turned it off at 11 o'clock, and when I turned it back on 4 hours later, I had 60 missed calls.
And when you ever talked to any of them, what was the solution to your problem? What solution did they give?
Buying my house and me being out within 30 days.
One after another, after another, after another. How many people knocked on your door? Two. Okay, so Kim was one of them.
And the other one was, I don't remember his name.
Okay.
There's too many other names to remember.
And what was his solution?
His solution was to sell as is with, I think, 125 grand, and you pay off everybody out of that. And I wound up, he said, you will wind up with 20 grand. I'm
Okay.
positive of that.
But you would have to move and all your furniture, because you have a lot of furniture in the house.
Everybody's.
Yeah. You have everybody's furniture in your house. Why, when Kim came to your door, why did you let him in? Or why did you let her in? Why did you invite her in?
I thought, well, if she don't mind the house the way it looks, I feel bad. I'm not getting up. I thought, well, let's see what she has to say, because I had been saying, for some reason, I'm not going with these other people. There's a reason. And I have my faith, and I thought something better is coming along. I just didn't know what it was and when it was.
And I think it's important that you hear the people I'm doing deals with. So when I tell you I'm door knocking and I'm doing videotapes with people as I'm not door knocking or they let me in the house, asking them, why'd you let me in? I want you to hear from what the other people are saying, not just me, so you can understand and you can hear it in her voice. You know, she just didn't want to move. She just kept saying that. So just know that our job as real estate investors is not to buy, sell, or rent houses. It's not what we do. Our job is to help people solve their real estate problems. That's what we're supposed to go do. And here's the option agreement. And as you can see, if you look at number 1 in the red teardrop, you'll see that it's recorded in the courthouse. So I did get this recorded. If you look at number 2, it's Exhibit B, and I secured it with a security deed, and then included the option with the security deed of trust. And number 3 is that's the option agreement. And so now you're looking at the security deed. So I always secure my options, which allows me to do the foreclosure, and it enforces the option. So that's what you're looking at there. And as far as consideration goes, sometimes it's money, sometimes I'm doing something to help someone. In this case, the consideration was to pay the arrearage, which is $7,620, and stop the option's foreclosure that was scheduled for July the 2nd, 2024. And I have that in there worded that way. So in case she ever wonders, what consideration, what did I get out of it? That's what she got out of it. And when I was looking at the price at the time, I didn't have the numbers. So the way I worked the options, I used a formula, which is basically a mortgage balance, that whatever the mortgage balance was on June 26, 2024, minus the arrearage that was on June 27, 2024. And then you just subtract it from it, do the arithmetic, and that's how you come up with the purchase price. So today, is there any tool in your deal structuring toolbox that will allow you to structure this deal? And if you said no, not being able to structure a deal like this, was it costing you? That's why I teach Whatbox. I want people to see there's lots of ways to skin this cat. There's lots of ways to help people. If you think it's just the big damn hammer, you just saw a great example of a woman getting 60 calls a day, everybody making basically the same 50, 60, 70 cents on the dollar offer, but they'd not listened to her. They didn't talk to her. They didn't find out that she really didn't want to go move, and they lost the deal. Any of them would have loved this deal if they just knew how to do it. So here's some of the creative lessons learned. Number 1 is door knocking does work, because you saw what Kim did. You saw the value of the T-bars. You saw it last week. You're seeing it this week. And some owners who are forced to sell don't want to sell, but you got to talk to them and find out. And then if they don't want to sell, why not? And if they do sell, where are they going to go next? Sometimes a pure option, and a pure option is just an option that's used by itself. There's no lease involved, nothing else. And an option is not a loan, so I didn't loan her any money, so I don't have to worry about Dodd-Frank. And it pays to understand how to do advanced creative deal making. So does it really pay? I use the word pay. Am I using the word pay lightly? Think about it. The fair market value on this property is $301,000. Our purchase price is $72,000. When we exercise our option, as it stands right now, we'll pick up $228,000 in equity. As far as cash flows, this house would rent for $2,200. The PITI is $813, and I would pick up $1,387 in cash flow. And it just gets, it's a deal worth doing. And the total money out of my pocket, $7,620, and then probably another $3,000 to do the closing of the option. So did you pick up a good nugget tonight? Did you learn something new that you didn't know before, you hadn't seen before? And do you want to learn more about advanced creative deal structuring? Then join us at Whatbox. It's next weekend. And you can come in person or on Zoom. We'll be teaching in Tampa, Florida at the Marriott. It's September 13th and 14th, 2025. Early bird special is $587, but the early bird special ends as of this Sunday, and it goes to $697. So save the $100. And if you bring a guest along, it's $397. And for those of you that have been to Whatbox before, A returnee price is $397. Not bad. So to get full information or sign up, you can go to billandkimcook.com. And what do you get? It's a 2-day seminar in person or on Zoom, and it's going to be recorded. So you're going to get a recording of the class. The manual is going to be about 275 to 290 pages. I'm not done with it yet. It's all of it. You'll get all the documents that I use. So the things that you saw tonight, what documents did I use to do these deals? You'll get my documents, and it has an unconditional money back guarantee. So when the class is done, if for any reason you feel you didn't get your money's worth, just let me know. We'll give you we'll give you the interest fee back. No questions asked. So that's what we have. And now if anybody has any questions, I'm done with the presentation. And I'm sorry, it looks like I ran about 10 minutes over, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Hey, Bill, this is Sam. Sam Sanders. How you doing? Great job.
Thank you.
Listen, I'm going to sign up for the course, but I can only attend that Saturday. So by me not being there Sunday, I can still get the recording.
Everybody that attends on Zoom or in person is professionally recorded. So
okay.
You'll have both days beginning to end, and you're going to need it because there's so much that's covered. You're going to want to go back and watch the course a number of times. And I follow along in the manual. So it's not a hard follow.
And will you be mailing the book out if I sign up today?
If you sign up sign up to do Zoom, then next Friday, you'll get an email from us. And in the email will be a PDF of the manual.
No, I'm going to show up that Saturday.
Oh, then on Saturday, that's when you get the manual. So if you come in person, Saturday morning, we hand you the manual. For those that are attending on Zoom, we will.
And it's not the 2023 manual that was in the picture.
Yeah.
There is a 2025 manual.
That's good to know, Kim. Thank you.
Well, every year, about a third of what box is new. I'm doing different deals. I'm changing things around. So about a third of the manual is always new.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Thank you for taking my question real quick because I know it's almost time. But so Texas is a mortgage state. So how different do you work on these filings? I don't think you can file a deed, and the documents that you showed
When you say
from Texas.
wait, when you say you can't file a deed, first of all, what type of structure are we talking about?
Well, it's the one that you had just
An
done
option?
with this. Yes, for the 8 years, and then you're filing documents. I don't know that you can do that in Texas, so that's why I'm asking.
Yes, you can. I'm in Florida.
Okay.
If you go look at last week's program, you'll see the option I got on this house. I secured that option with a mortgage here in Florida. Mortgages secure promises. Now, if you go to the clerk of courts to record it, they're going to tell you, no, you can't go do that. That's why it takes me an hour and a half. And I just go from one supervisor to another until usually I'm talking to an attorney there that works for the county. And I just keep saying, what is the chapter and verse? In other words, what is the code section that says that a mortgage cannot secure an option? And eventually they can't find it. And they're always dumbfounded. They're like, well, I just never knew this. And I said, well, I'm not trying to school you. It's just, yes, a mortgage secures promises. A promissory note is one type of promise, but an option is another type of promise.
Okay, I just need to learn more about all that because that sounds wonderful. Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
I got one for you.
Yeah, Danny.
The lady that Kim helped with the hoarder. Okay, is she still keeping up with those payments to the bank, or she fall back?
Yes.
Kim, tell her what we do every month.
So I have authorization to talk with her mortgage company, and I call them every month. I don't ever have to talk with anybody. It's all, automated, but I check every month to make sure that her payment's made, and it always is. So she's had a UTI, a urinary tract infection. She had that, about 2 months ago?
Yeah, she's had two of them.
Yes, and she ended up in jail both times because she went crazy and went next door and broke into the neighbor's house. So they called the police on her. And then there was another time when she called the police thinking that somebody had killed her boyfriend. So the police came and assuming that the boyfriend was dead, and he wasn't dead. He was in the bed asleep. And so they arrested her again for, I guess, a false call to 911. So bless her heart. She's just a mess. But in the meantime, she's still in her house and she didn't lose it to foreclosure. She's not out on the street. She makes her payments. It's auto drafted every month.
And
All right.
she's done well. I mean, she stood by what she said she would do, and she's still in the house. And every time Kim and I are in town, we drive by, knock on the door, see how she's doing, talk to her. So that's what we're
How
doing.
long ago was that deal made?
That was made in
Last year.
June of 2024.
Are you the
Okay.
power attorney, or how are you able to talk to her bank without triggering it?
We have an
Wait,
authorization on file and
wait,
also a power of attorney
Wait, Kim.
Okay.
Triggering what?
to do on sale.
Yeah,
There's no deal on sale. We didn't buy the house.
Oh.
We have the right to buy the house. We haven't bought the house, but let's look at the sub 2 deals, like what you go look at last week, because that we covered 2 sub 2 deals last week. And on both of those deals, I get powers of attorney, and I'll do a course at some point in the future on sub 2 deals because we've been doing them for so long. And I taught a sub 2 course for probably 15 or 20 years. But sub 2 deals are not hard to work with. And when title transfers, and if the lender comes along and says, hey, we're going to call the note due, there's a number of ways to fix it. And we will cover that at Whatbox. That's one of the things we do talk about at Whatbox is what would I do if it's called due? And just so you know, we've been doing sub 2 deals since 1998. And we've never, not one time, ever had one called due. And I've had people die. I've had people go into bankruptcy. I've had people say, I need the mortgage out of my name. And I just kind of remind them and say, this is what we've agreed to. And I've never had one called due.
Hey, Bill, on a subject too, will you cover how you handle the insurance?
Yeah, at closing, the seller's insurance is canceled because they no longer own the property. We now own the property. So they don't have an insurable interest. At the same time at closing, I've already called my insurance company and that new insurance is in place. So the second we sign on the dotted line and we own the house, our insurance goes into place. So our insurance company contacts the lender because the seller's lender is named on our insurance policy. The lender is named as the mortgagee. And so our insurance company, this is what they do all the time anyway, just lets the lender know, hey, there's a new insurance company here. Does that help?
Trigger the due on sale clause?
No, that does not trigger a due on sale clause. I've done it twice this year. Nope.
Well, don't you add the seller's name as you don't add the
Additionally
seller's
insured.
name?
Nope.
Additional insured, yeah.
Nope.
Okay. Because I thought the mortgage company had to at least see the seller's name on the document as an
If it
additional
makes you
insured.
feel better to add them as additional insured, have at it. We're buying properties with trust. I have the property's address on there. And no, I just, because I've done this for so long and never had so much as the first inkling of a problem. Let me say it this way.
I see.
Let me say it this way. If I sit down in a circle and let's say the people I'm sitting with have all been investing for 20 years or longer. Okay. Let's say there's 10 of us and we've all done sub 2 deals. And let's say the topic of sub 2 deals comes up. During the conversation, not one person will bring up the due on sale clause. It's a non-event. However, if I sit down in another circle and I'm with brand new investors who have never done a sub 2 deal, but they've read about them, the entire conversation will be about due on sale clause. So it's just knowing what to do. And at what box I do go into, let's say on either or on both of the deals that Kim and I did this year, both being sub two deals. I covered them both last week. You'll find those on our YouTube channel. You'll see those two deals, both sub to two deals. But let's say they both called it due. I know exactly what I would do to fix, because what I've done is with the mortgage, I broke one of their rules. I fix it. And it's not hard to do. And I don't pay off the mortgage. But I've never had to do it because I've never had one call due. But I know what I would do if it happened. And I do cover that at what box.
So I totally understand putting it in the name of a trust. So I'm getting back to the insurance question again. The insured would be the name of the trust. Is that correct?
Yeah, the trustee owns the property in the name of the trust. So the trustee owns it in the name of the trust. So on the insurance policy, you would have down both the trustee and the name of the insurance company. Here, hang on one second. Let's do this. Okay, this is the warranty deed. So this has got recorded this year. This was done, a property we bought on April the 16th, 2025. It's here in Florida, which is a mortgage state. There's the warranty deed. This is how I took title. W. Cook, individually and as trustee of the Highland Greens Real Estate Trust. So that's what I have here, Highland Greens Real Estate Trust. And that's the name of the street, dated April 16, 2025. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing that.
Sure. And don't let that fear knock you out. Learn from the experienced investors how to do a sub two deal. And I had really good teachers back in the 90s. You know, my three teachers were Jack Miller and Pete Fortunato and Dyke Spotiford, and they had a lot of experience with doing sub two deals. It just wasn't a big concern. It just they taught me what to do and how to do it and how to talk to people.
Okay, that's awesome.
Okay, Terry.
So I have
Thank
a
you.
question. When you take a property or subject to from a real estate agent and the seller doesn't have that much equity, are you paying that realtor that full amount of, I guess, the real estate commission fee?
Okay,
Like,
hang on a second, Linda.
okay,
I'm gonna make sure I had this straight. So there's a house listed with a realtor, right?
right,
And I'm buying the house and it's gonna be subject to the seller's mortgage, right?
correct,
And you're asking me about paying the realtor commissions, right?
right.
Let me ask this question. Have you ever flipped a house?
My boyfriend has, but not me.
Have you ever sold a house?
Yes,
Okay. When you sold your house, did you list it with a realtor?
yes.
Okay. Of the realtor's commission, how much did the seller pay? I mean, the buyer, how much of the commission did the buyer pay?
It was the seller had to pay 3%.
Okay, but how much did the buyer pay?
Nothing.
Really? Why is that?
Because I don't know. Usually it's the seller that pays the. At that time, it was me that pay for the seller costs and the buyer costs.
Okay, Linda, you're doing great. You're answering your questions perfectly. So, who had hired the realtor?
I would.
So, you were the seller, you hired the realtor.
Correct.
Who agreed that the realtor would be paid commission?
I did.
You did. Who signed the contract?
I did.
Who owes the realtor the money?
Oh, the seller.
Yeah. So, why is it when you start thinking like an investor, you think all of a sudden you're supposed to pay the realtor commission? What changed?
Okay. Okay, I get it. So if I offer to make a down payment, that down payment comes out from that real estate.
It's not my job to pay the realtor.
Got you. Okay.
Seller hired the realtor. That's a conversation between the seller. Now, have I stepped in? Have I helped? Maybe there's another property I'm going to get done, and I'll say, tell you what, I'll let you list this property over here if you let her out of this contract over here. I have done that a couple times over the years, but not often. I did not hire the seller. The seller did. I did not hire the realtor. The seller did. The seller owes the money. And I have flipped many, many homes over the years. And Kim and I had one realtor in Bartow County. Her name was
In Bartow County was Bonnie.
Bonnie Molinex. And with every house we ever sold, we paid all the commission. Not one time did someone say, wait a minute, let's have the buyer pay the realtor's commission. No one ever said that to us, not one time. And now with your question is, you're thinking you as the investor, the buyer, you're supposed to pay the seller's realtor, and you are not. You never signed a contract with a realtor.
Okay. I was just thinking because like, don't we offer them to pay their closing costs sometime? Like, hey, I would pay all your closing costs, all your back payments, or interest, like maybe $5,000 to get out of this.
That's just part of the thing. You saw what I did. You saw what I did with the bank when we were talking about the mobile home park, the trailer park.
Yes.
I gave them 3 offers.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just part of negotiation. And I've paid closing costs. I've had them pay closing costs. You know, I've given trips to Disney, not Disney, but like to places like a weekend stay somewhere. If they'll close this deal, I'll give them, you know, a free stay somewhere. It's just part of the negotiation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Well, Bill, you don't have to have I mean, as a buyer, you don't have to be like forced to be with the buyer, like an agent for the buyer.
No, I know.
As a buyer.
And I am not. I'm not.
It just seems like sometimes you have to like sign to work with the seller's agent, some sort of paperwork to work with them to
which is why
buy the property.
Which is why I talk to the sellers. I don't have to do anything to sit down and talk to a seller and have a conversation. Now, if the deal goes through, does the seller owe the realtor money? Absolutely. The realtors can have all the rules and regulations they want. Nothing stops me from going up and talking to a seller. Nothing. And that's what I do. And if I have a realtor that starts telling me how this is going to work and what all the rules are, I'm done with that. I'm just done with that realtor. If a realtor,
I mean, half the time.
What?
It's. I'm sorry. It seems like most of the time you don't really get the chance to talk to the sellers per se. If you're just looking at, say, a property
why can't you talk to the seller?
It seems like the realtor is your go-to. It's like the middleman. You have to talk through the realtor. You can't talk to the seller.
Danny, why can't I go talk to the seller?
Okay, I get you now. You're right. Just go to the house.
You cannot talk to the seller if you're a realtor.
Yeah, but I'm not a realtor. So I understand that if I was a realtor, I got to follow all the realtor rules, but I'm not a realtor. So Danny, let me ask you this. You're driving through your neighborhood tomorrow and there's a house one street over from you, and it's a beautiful house, and you think that's going to be a great, great rental. It looks good. The house is in good shape. The yard's cut well. You're like, man, I really like to make an offer on that house. It'd be a great rental for me. It's in my neighborhood. I like this house a lot. And you see a realtor sign in the yard. Okay. Realtor signs just sitting there big as day. Now, my question for you is, what's the most important thing you see at that house?
I'm not sure. I mean, other than the fact that it looks good.
Okay.
It's for sale.
What's the most important thing I see?
The house.
For sale.
The seller. It's for sale. It's for sale.
I know it's for sale because of the sign, but what's the most important thing I see at the house? Someone already said it once.
Curb appeal, the house.
Nope.
The seller.
The seller. The most important thing I see at any house is the seller. Who is the one person a realtor does not want you to see? The seller. I'm the buyer. I'm the one with the money. I'm the one that solves the problem. I'm the one doing the T-bar. I'm the one asking all the questions. I'm the hero. I have the cape. I'm here to fix the problems. And you're going to tell me I can't go talk to a seller? How do I do my job? It's kind of like if you were very, very sick, and let's say you called Thomas. Thomas is your doctor, and you're really sick and you're throwing up blood and you've been running a fever for 2 days. And you say, Thomas, listen, you got to look at me right now. I think I may be dying. It's bad. I'm throwing up blood. And Thomas says, come in right now. I got to come in right away. Get here in 30 minutes. So 30 minutes later, Thomas, who's told that you've checked into the exam room, he walks in, but you're not there. You said you sent your representative in your place. And the representative says, I need some medication for Danny. Is Thomas going to give you a prescription or give your representative a prescription? No way. The doctor has to examine the patient. You are the patient. With real estate, the seller is the patient. I've got to sit down and do a T-bar. I've got to ask questions, whether that's in person or on Zoom or on the phone. I prefer phone least of all because I can't see body reaction. I'll do Zoom only if they're somewhere else. If they're in town, we will meet face to face, or don't bother me.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, guys.
Thank you.
We have wait, Rick.
Well,
Rick,
honey, Rick has a call.
Go ahead, Rick.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So, Kim, I will be calling you tomorrow for the event, how to pay for it. I have a question for that. For Bill, my question is, with the current market, how you are doing the numbers, because if you look at normally when you talk that I can only afford $750 because you're doing your numbers, right? And because you're minusing the vacancy, the 40%, like the vacancy, repairs and all that
Maintenance,
stuff.
right.
The maintenance and everything. But if that number is not making sense, how do you know? Because if they have a mortgage or anything, how are those numbers coming? Because they will say no, because they cannot take that number because their mortgage is more than the number we are offering. So how you go by that?
I can't do the deal.
Okay.
I still make the offer. I make the offer so it works for me. And I hand it to them. I don't know when they're going to win the lottery or something else will happen. My job is to make written offers. I never find a reason not to make a written offer. And when I was on the call earlier today with Vina, she said she talked to someone today, as a matter of fact, and they're wanting $80,000 for the house. Venus looked at it and she said, I can't, the house is, if I were to buy it, to make it work, I can't pay more than 25,000. And she will make the offer at 25,000, even though they want 80, because it's the only way the deal works. She'll still write it down, still hand it to the person, and just say, I'm sorry, this is the best I can do. I'm not trying to do that. Pete Fortunato teaches us an insult is not a lowball offer.
Okay.
An insult is not making a written offer, not caring enough to say, here is what I can do.
Got it. Yeah, because in my mind, I'm always thinking of it has to make sense for me, whether it says whatever happens to them, whatever the number, it has to make sense for me. And if it's not, next, right?
Yep. And y'all, I told y'all at the beginning of this call and the call last week too, I'm in the process of making 1,000 written offers. I am 65 years old.
Yeah.
I don't want to go do this. I don't have a need to go do this. But I'm doing this once and for all to record all this so I can put it up on the YouTube channel. Because when new investors come in, they say, what does it take to succeed? It's not sitting at your desk. If you sit at your desk, it should be getting leads so you can leave when it's daylight and you can be talking to sellers. The most important person you talk to at the house is a seller. You've got to sit down. You've got to do the T-bars. You got to do the teeter-totters. You got to make written offers. And that's what we do. You got to find people to help. You got to find problems to solve. That's what we do, Rick.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, JR.
Just real quick comment on that. Like, I think that if you can get your actual offer accepted to sit down with them and have coffee or whatever, sometimes those numbers might fluctuate just a little bit, I imagine, depending on the situation, right? The biggest thing is to get in front of them.
Yeah, because I don't remember when I'm doing like a teeter-totter offer, I'm not in the house. I don't know if it's a good house or a bad house. So I'm just throwing out some numbers. That's not the offer. The offer is, let's have a glass of sweet tea. Let's have a cup of coffee. That's what the real offer is. Then we can talk. And I'm going to do a T-bar. First thing I'm doing is a T-bar. Don't give me a tour of your house. I don't care what your house looks like. I don't care what color the wall color is. I just don't care. Let's sit at the table and let's find out where it hurts. That's the most important thing I do in a home. And a realtor cannot give me that information. They have a fiduciary responsibility not to give me any of the information. I need to find out where the seller hurts. I'm not against realtors. It's just I understand what if I was a doctor, I need to see the person who's sick. Simple as that. Okay?
Thank you. Got it.
Okay, everybody. Well, this will be recorded, has been recorded, and we'll have this uploaded tomorrow, and you'll be able to come back and look at this or look at some of the documents we covered. And again, we have What Box next weekend. The early bird special goes away this Sunday at midnight. It climbs to $697. Love to have you there. Come in person, come on Zoom. Love you guys. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Bill, one other question, Bill. Sam Sanders again. Is Kim gonna make that specialty cake, man?
Yes, she's already ordered it.
All right, I'll be there, man.
Okay, Sam.
Take care, man. Take care, Kim.
Thank you, guys. Love y'all.
Bye, everybody.